رزقكم الله. قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين. ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون. ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون. قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون. فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون. إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون. سلام قولا من رب رحيم. وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون. هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون. ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون. ومن نعمره ننكس في الخلق أفلا يعقلون. وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين. أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون. واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون. أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين. وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين. إلى شرف النبي وآله وإلى أموات المؤمنين والمؤمنات سيما أموات الحاضرين رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة مع الإخلاص ثلاثا قبلها صلوات. يجيب his request for all the marada, including the mother-in-law or respected brother, Walji, the rest of those who requested dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them all shifa. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibul mudtarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibul mudtarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. يا الله اللهم اشف كل مريض بمريض كربلاء زين العابدين. For the hastening of the shifa, let us recite 3 times as our salawat ala Muhammadin Ali. My respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم أنطقني بالهدى وألهمني التقوى ووفقني للتي هي أزكى. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم وافتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. Yet it may be that you dislike something while it is good for you, and it may be that you love something and that is bad for you. This holy verse from Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 216, reminds us of a very important reality that we have to be mindful of and aware of. And that is that oftentimes what we desire and what we like to pursue may not be in the best of our interests. But because we lack the knowledge of the actuality of what we want to pursue, we assume it is in the best of our interest just because our nafs desires it, just because we see that there is good in it for us, just based on our personal thoughts or personal inclinations. And sometimes we may be reluctant to something, we may dislike something, and feel that it is not appealing to us, and we should not do it. It is not necessarily harmful, but we just don't find it attractive to our hearts and our souls. But that same thing that we are not appealed by and attracted to may be really good for us and in the best of our interests. We want to understand what are the Islamic criteria for determining whether something is actually good for you or not good for you. If I wanted to know that whatever I desire, whatever I am reluctant to, is in my best interest or not, what are some of the criteria, the Islamic criteria for determining what is good and what is not good, what is beneficial and what is harmful? There are three important points of reference that I'll highlight. But before that, I'd like to just give a brief summary or a very simple division or a categorization or a classification, if you will, of different types of people with respect to dealing with this matter. We can say that people and how they respond to this vital question, what I dislike, is it actually bad for me, and that's why I dislike it? And what I like and desire, is it good for me, and that's why I am desiring it? When you classify people with respect to how they respond to this crucial matter, you find that they are classified into three categories. I couldn't find the fourth one. The first is the wise, the second is the fool, and the third is the ignorant. Of course, we don't want to be among the fool, and we don't want to be among the ignorant. We definitely want to be among those who are wise. The fool person is a person who responds impulsively to their desires and aversion, despite knowing what is good and what is evil. A fool knows sometimes that this initiative is not in their best interest, but their nafs desires it. So they'll find ways to justify why they should do it, even though it doesn't appear to be good. They have some information that this is not in their best interest, but because their nafs desires it, there is an inclination towards it, they'll fix their mindset. Not fix, they're actually ruining it, but according to them, they're changing it and setting it to think that this is actually good for them. And on the other hand, they may know that there is good in something, but because they are reluctant to it, because their nafs does not find any desire in doing so, they find ways to stay away from it. This is the fool. The ignorant is less intense than the fool. Why? Because the ignorant simply doesn't know. They think that this is bad for them, so they stay away from it. You bring a little child, a 2-year-old, and you try to give them medicine, and they need it, and they turn away and they don't allow you to administer the medicine. You have to sometimes force it in their mouth. Why is that? Because they don't know that this is good for them. Or they may go, for example, to something that is not clean and try to grab it and eat it. Why? Because they don't know that this is not halal. So the ignorant is less intense than the fool. We, alhamdulillah, are not, inshallah, not among the ignorants, nor do we want to be among the fools. We want to be among the wise. What do the wise people do? They refrain from acting or refraining from anything unless they investigate, unless they seek understanding, unless they come to a conclusion that this act is indeed in my best interest, hence I'm going to pursue it. And this act is to my detriment, not in my best interest, harmful, and therefore I am going to abandon it. What are these 3 points of reference that I want to highlight tonight for us to reflect on? 3 stations that we should visit whenever a decision is cooked in our mind. Decision doesn't have to be a big decision. Sometimes it may be a very minor decision. To get up, for example, and go outside and do something very simple. That is also a decision. But we naturally make very fast decisions and sometimes we don't pay attention to them. So what is the proper way to navigate our decisions, and how do we ensure that what we wish to do or what we wish to refrain from is in the best of our interest or not in the best of our interest? The first station that we always have to keep in mind and be very attentive to and be well aware of is our Islamic code of law. When I want to pursue a decision, when I want to acquire something, when I want to do anything, when I want to engage in a relationship, when I want to purchase something, when I want to engage in a financial transaction, when I want to create something, whatever it may be, or say something at least, or take a stand, I need to say to myself, what does Islam say about this? That is the first point of reference, the Islamic law. Because I have to first go through this checklist. Number 1, what does Islam say about this? If Islam says this is forbidden, then is there more thinking to do? No, that's it. Refrain. If Islam says makruh, detestable, if I am not really desperate to do this, it's not something that is necessary, then there you go. Islam has already given you the decision. Avoid it. If it is mustahab, you have the option, but it's better to do than to leave. And if it is wajib, also there is no option. You have to do it. There's no other, way to do or to go about it. Then you have one last, and that is the mubah, the permissible. That which is permissible, you have the choice to take it or to leave it. But sometimes even within the permissible, we still don't know if it is really in my best interest to do this or not in my best interest. Because Islam gave us a wide range of options with respect to our daily lives and how we conduct things. Islam taught us what is wajib, what is haram, what is mustahab, what is makruh, but also gave us the opportunity to use our aql, our intellect, and to reflect on the reality around us and make decisions based on that, and not necessarily always having to have prepackaged rulings for us. There's that area that Islam has left to us, and that is the mubahat, that which is permissible. Most of the things in life are generally permissible, except those that are wajib, and except those that are forbidden, and except those that are mustahab, and except those that are makruh. These mubahat and permissible acts, Islam has given us the freedom, but within confinements. These confinements are what? Aql. Just because it's permissible, it may not be wise to do it at this point. Just because it's permissible, it may not be wise to leave it at this point. There may be some kind of interest in it. So when something is permissible and I feel perplexed, should I just say, you know what, I'll just take a guess. Should I do what little children do? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Is that the best way to go about it? No. Should I call someone for istikhara right away? Also no. So what should I do? This is where I have to refer to the second point of reference. The second point of reference is what we call the expert. Now, where do we need the expert? The thing that is permissible, that we are perplexed about and bewildered about, it may be a matter that requires the opinion of the expert. I'm trying to, for example, select a good insurance policy for my vehicle. I'm trying to select a medical insurance for myself and family. I need to know which health plan is better for me. These things are not usually clear in terms of the nuances and what is beneficial and what is not. I may have to refer to the expert. I want to start a business and I am not sure if this is the right location or this is the right idea. I need to go and consult experts. Not just anyone, but those who know about the field. I want to purchase a real estate property and I don't know where to go and where to start and what to do. Of course, I have to refer to the expert. These are not matters where we can guess on. This is where Islam says you have experts. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. There are experts in different fields that you can visit. But sometimes the matter is not a matter that requires an expert. It just requires a trusted person who can see it without any biases. Because sometimes our biases blind our sight. We can't see clear. I see something very appealing and I want to purchase it. Now, if I think about whether it's in my best interest right now to purchase it or not, my nafs is going to say, yes, it's in the best of your interest, because the nafs is very attracted by it. It's very appealing to the nafs. It's not haram, it's not wajib, it's not mustahab, it's not makruh, it's permissible. But here I'm trying to make a decision. Should I or should I not? This is where we have to come and see it through the eyes of someone else who has no interest in it. That's why we are told to consult a pious, a righteous mu'min, a righteous friend that we can trust, who can tell us without any biases that, look, this is in your best interest or this is not in your best interest. You know, sometimes you have spouses going for shopping and one spouse would consult the other about a matter, and as much as they are very inclined to purchase this item, as soon as they consult their spouse might say, you know what, I don't think you need it at this time. And they may be convinced. Why? Because they heard something, an opinion, a suggestion from someone they trust, someone who they know cares about their interest and well-being, and they avoided that reliance solely on their personal inclinations. Even when it comes to marriage proposals, oftentimes decisions are made solely based on emotions, and that is not very healthy and safe. For many times, in many situations, in many experiences that we've seen by others and read about, where things start out based on emotions, but they do not end up so well. They don't, because emotions are sometimes misleading, especially when it comes to establishing relationships. We don't always have this infallible barometer in our hearts that says, I feel good about this person, therefore they're the best person for me. We don't have that. We're not Ali ibn Abi Talib or Rasulullah. We don't have that kind of, divinely gifted barometer that can check people and check their hearts and check their minds. We don't have that. Someone could have a very good demeanor, a very good appealing stature or appearance that makes us believe that this person is actually the best person for us. So we have to be very careful when it comes to big decisions like that, like marriage proposals. That is why we are told to consult. And oftentimes we find that when a person consults others, unfortunately what ends up happening is they choose who to consult based on which one will confirm their decision and not give them a neutral decision or a wise decision, a decision that is not biased. That's why we find that many children, when they choose to get married, many, not all, many, the last people they really, truly adhere to their opinion and view is their parents. And they'll find many different justifications and excuses. Why? Well, my parents are from a different generation. They don't understand me. They don't know. My parents probably are just racist. That's why they're not willing to accept this proposal. My parents are this, my parents is that. But in reality, we know most parents, again, there are some parents that are truly racist or truly don't know the best interest of their children. That is there as well, we can't deny. But most of the times, we have to realize that parents are very keen on the interest of their child. The son or daughter needs to know that their parents love them so much and are very keen on their interest. Hence, when they give them an opinion they don't like to hear, they're not just giving it like that. They're giving it out of experience. They're telling them, son, daughter, this is not the right person for you. So this is where Islam says, when it's not a matter of expertise, but it's a matter that is tainted with desire, you need to see it with eyes other than yours. You need to think it with a mind other than yours. There's a statement attributed to the commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. He says that when someone loves something, they are blindsided by it. They can't see anymore. You heard the statement, love is blind, right? Well, that's not safe. You don't want to go into something not seeing, because you'll fall in some type of pit. And some of these pits that, God forbid, you may fall into are so deep that you can't really come out of it. So we have to be careful. We have to be awake. We have to be wise when it comes to these decisions. So these 3 points of reference are important for each and every one of us. Number 1, Islamic law. So take the example of marriage that I just mentioned earlier. Someone comes and says, I have fallen in love with a person from a different faith. Can I marry them? Islam is automatically going to say what? Of course not. For the girl at least. For the man, if it's not from the people of the book, of course not. Say, but what do? I'm already in love. See, this is where you made a decision without even consulting the first point of reference. Whose fault is that? The person's fault. If they were mindful of their religious obligation and the fact that they are a Muslim, that they are a mu'min, and that they need to check with Islam before they make these decisions, they would have checked early on and not wait until they're fully immersed in that relationship. You'd be surprised that some people try to find justification even when it comes to a relationship with an atheist. Maulana, can you find me a way to marry this atheist and make it halal? There's no way. I can't do anything for you. Unless they enter Islam, I can't do anything about it. But why? Isn't Islam all about peace and love and this and that? Yeah, Islam is peaceful and loving, but these are rules. These are rules. We can't just break them. These are rules that have to be respected. And Islam knows what is in the best of our interest. That is why Islam has put these rules. So therefore, we have to keep this in mind. Checking with Sharia, first and foremost. And then, if it's a matter that requires an expert, checking with the expert. And if it's a matter that doesn't require an expert, but requires a trusted mu'min to give us an honest opinion on it, then we need to check with that mu'min. Sometimes after doing all of this, someone may sit and say, you know what, I am still bewildered. This is where we have a very precious gift from our Sharia, and that is istikhara. Perform a 2 rak'ah salah. Istikhara means talabul khair, seeking goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The istikhara that is highly emphasized with this respect, after being bewildered, is not to open the Quran or use a tasbih. No. To go, perform wudu, offer a 2-unit salatul istikhara, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for inspiration. And He will inspire you. How? Allah knows how to inspire you. Some people feel that, well, this is still not enough for me. What do? Then do the regular istikhara as well. Open the Holy Quran, use a tasbih, and whatever the istikhara says, at least adhere to it. The problem is when someone says no, even though I am doing the istikhara, I'm expecting it to give me a specific opinion. Then we say don't even do the istikhara. If you're expecting a yes or expecting a no, then go with that yes and with that no. There you go. You know what you want. You don't need confirmation at that point. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us success, tawfiq, to be wise in the decisions that we make, in the initiatives that we take and pursue. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Inshallah, we have a few minutes for 10 minutes or 10-15 minutes, inshallah, for questions and answers. Let's take this opportunity, inshallah. Doesn't have to be in the topic, but feel free to ask, and inshallah, we'll try our best to answer them if we know the answer to, inshallah. Sisters, if there's a question, you always have the priority. No? Okay. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Sayyid Jawad.
Assalamu alaikum
wa rahmatullah.
You mentioned that if they make istikhara in the case if Islam allows that nikah or the things,
but if Islam doesn't allow it, then there's no room for istikhara. Yes, ahsan. And sometimes when it comes to nikah, some ulama warn against hastening to istikhara. That's another common mistake. Someone proposes to my daughter, or I want to propose for my son to, for example, somebody else's daughter. Before anything, let's go and do an istikhara. That is wrong. Many of our ulama say, do not do this. Why? Because you haven't done the requirements of an istikhara. The requirements of an istikhara is to do everything until you are perplexed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us through His Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi, تَخَيَّرُوا لِنُطَفِكُمْ. Choose your spouses, which means not go and resort to istikhara right away. No, choose, as in you exercise your aql, exercise the trusted people that you know, exercise all kinds of means in order to identify the right person before you go right into istikhara, because oftentimes it could lead to unfair results. Someone comes and proposes to my daughter. I open the Quran. It came out to be not good. Oh, sorry. And that person may have been a very good person, and maybe my daughter even is interested in that person and they want to be married, but I just happen to follow my traditional way, which is not accurate.
I have another question.
Sure.
For the people that they are on the age of, like 30, 35, but still is the first nikah.
Mm-hmm.
Is the father, is it still
Wali?
The wali of the
Yes.
father?
If a woman has not been married before, according to some of our maraja, including His Eminence Sayyid Sistani, she must obtain the consent of her paternal grandfather or father. So if her father's not available or not alive, then her paternal grandfather. So it's either her paternal grandfather or her father. These are her awliya. If she, for some reason, is in dire need of marriage and there's no way to find or reach these people, for example, the father is not in her life, father has left a long time ago, is not accessible, or if the father says, I don't care, I choose not to be part of your life, you do whatever you want to do, then of course his walaya here is revoked. Or if the father says, I will not allow you to be married to anyone, even if they're your kufr. Every time someone comes who meets all the conditions, but this person is just, we say has some, issues in how they see things, and they just choose to prevent their daughter from getting married, of course, at that point, Islam also has revoked his walaya. You're welcome. Sisters on your side? Okay, very good. Brothers, any other questions? Don't be shy because we talked about marriage and stuff. You don't have to ask about that. We can talk about something else. Yes, go ahead, sister.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When one is doing istikhara individually, how does one interpret the outcome themselves?
Very good question. Can someone do it individually? Yes. First and foremost, istikhara is to be done by you. You're the person who's consulting Allah. You don't need to put someone on your behalf to do it. You should do it. Now, some people say, you know what, we don't know how to do the one in the Quran, simply because if we were to open the Quran and a verse comes out, how do I know what this verse means, or how do I know if the indication is positive or negative? Of course, in general, there are some verses that are clear. For example, when you open the Quran and the verse that is on the top right says, for instance, فَكُلِي وَاشْرَبِي وَقَرِّ عَيْنَا. Eat and drink. Maryam is being addressed here. Eat and drink and be happy. Of course, this is a very positive indication. But if you open the Quran and it says, for example, فَجَعَلَهُمْ جُذَاذًا إِلَّا كَبِيرَهُم. When Ibrahim destroyed the idols, he destroyed all of them except this indication of the verse seems to say that this is not in your best interest. So, but sometimes the verse is not very clear. This is where we resort to people who we trust, ulama, people who have been doing this and maybe have a good understanding of these verses. That's when we do the istikhara with the Holy Quran. But people also have the option of doing istikhara through tasbih, and it's an easier one. It's very simple. The main thing about istikhara is to have that the purity of intention, that you're really seeking Allah's help in this decision, and that you're not trying to seek confirmation, and that you do it after a salah, and that you are you're mindful, you're focused, maybe in their state of wudu. All these are recommended things to do. They're not necessarily wajib. But all you have to do is say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad 3 times. And you just grab, you have the tasbih here, and you just grab a random number without, checking the number. You say, for example, I open it and I go like this, and I just stop right here. Then I go in twos. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then all the way until I go to the end. If the last thing that remains 2, that means do not do. If the last thing is just 1, that means do. It's a very simple way to do it. Simple way to do istikhara tasbih. You do the salawat 3 times and you do it like this. This would make your life easy and also someone else's life easy as well. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay. All right. Any other questions, inshallah?
Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid.
Assalamu wa rahmatullah, Sayyid.
So my question is, if someone adopt the child or yatim, and when they become baligh, so they will be a mahram of the parents?
No, there's no mahramiyya between the yatim that you have either adopted in terms of kafala, because we call it kafala in Islam, where you sponsor a child from a young age, you take care of them, be like their father or mother. That's a good thing, but it doesn't establish mahramiyya in the sense that they inherit you inherit them, or if you're a man and it's a girl that you can see her without hijab after bulugh, or vice versa. If it's a boy and you're a woman, you can take off your hijab in front of them. All that does not apply in this case.
All right.
Hasant. Any other questions? Yes. Sisters, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have a follow-up question. Going back to about 2 weeks ago, we were talking about halal foods.
Mm-hmm.
And this is with Muslims who have different schools of thought in terms of they would consume foods from all Ahle Kitab.
Correct.
How do we approach if eating food from there?
Yeah, good question. Alaikum salam. Good question. how do we deal with cases? We're talking about halal meat, a very tough topic and sensitive one as well, because it's often confusing to many of us in terms of application. If a person from another school of thought believes that طعام أهل الكتاب حل لكم, according to the verse, the way they translate it or the way they interpret it, that the animals slaughtered by the people of the book are permissible for us to consume, according to some of their schools. While we don't believe so, we believe that this is not the correct interpretation of the verse. The verse is talking about food other than meat. It's talking about grains, it's talking about lettuce, it's talking about vegetables, and so on and so forth. So how do we do when, for example, a non-Shia brother invites me, or they have opened a restaurant and I am going there to eat, knowing that some of them believe in this wrong interpretation of the verse. So maybe the food they're offering me is actually, they say it's halal, but it's actually taken from the people of the book. In general, not all non-Muslims agree with this. And also Muslims that agree with this still do not call this meat dhabiha. When they say dhabiha, they're specifically, unless they're lying, that's a different story, but they're specifically referring to that which has been slaughtered by a Muslim, an animal that has been slaughtered by a Muslim. This is where, if I am unsure, period, a Muslim appears to be a practicing Muslim, offers me meat. Do I have to investigate? No. Can I give them benefit of the doubt? Yes. But if I know specifically that person believes in that theory, they practice it, I see them shop wherever, they don't care, then of course here I have to take caution and say, you know what, I have to be sure before I can eat that meat. So there's no like one approach to all situations and scenarios. The best approach, of course, is احتياط. الاحتياط سبيل النجاة. Precaution as much as possible. أحسنتم. Questions on the brother's side? Sister's side? Go ahead. Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum,
Alaykum
Sayyid.
assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
When can we perform istikhara? Is there like a certain time, or is it like only for marriage, or can we just perform it whenever we want to?
Any decision that you're not sure of, but let it be an important decision in life. I mentioned this last time. Someone used to call for istikhara whether they should drink milk or they should not drink milk this time. We don't want to take it that far. We want to make sure we do it for real decisions. You're about to go to college and you're very unsure, should you go to this U or that U? And you did your homework, you did the comparisons, you did the pros and cons, you consulted, but you're still unsure. Is it this one or that one? Then of course do an istikhara. You're about to purchase a car. You did all the homework, but still you feel that you're not sure. So it's not just marriage, it's any decision that is important to you and that you feel you are not set on a decision and need someone to break the tie, and you need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, no one better than Allah that knows our interest, that can break the tie for us and say, do or don't in this specific matter. Ahsant. Yes. Questions? Sisters, anything on your side? Okay. Brothers, on your end? Brother Abu Muhammad Habibi, khidmatkum. I'll translate. Mm-hmm. Very good question. Very good question. Very relevant question too. You know, you have a relative and your relative has some beef with you, unfortunately. That happens a lot. There's some issue, there's some disconnect somewhere. And every time Eid comes, you try your best to reconcile. And every time you try, the other party just pushes back. What do? You just give up on this person? Islam says if they're a close relative, try your best not to give up. Even if you feel hurt by this, even if you feel that, this is causing you a little bit of, pain and why is this person doing this? Because the more you do, the more you have increased reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the more you put hujjah on the other person, Yawm al-Qiyamah, when Allah asks, you say, look, Ya Allah, I tried. Because the other person may respond, he tried once, he wasn't very serious, he came to me, but he wasn't, as I expected. People will find excuses, but at least you said, look, I didn't try this once, I didn't try this twice, I tried it many times, and you still did not allow me to come near you. Now, one thing I have to point out that is important. Sometimes the way we approach this relative may not be effective. How? Sometimes going directly to them without any prearrangements works sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't work. So therefore, it's better in these cases to use a third party, a good friend that both of us know. Me and my cousin both know my dear brother here, and he knows us both. So if we go through him and say, you know what, can you help reconcile between me and my relative? Now he's also earning the thawab for trying, and also he's able to pave the way for both of us, as opposed to going directly, and maybe the other person finds it shocking, surprising, and they will remember the very bad memory, their subconscious, about what happened last time and why you got into a fight with them, and they right away become emotional, say, no, I don't want to see your face, get away, and so on and so forth. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Mm. 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 Subhanallah. Mm. Yeah, this person, you may try a different middleman with them. Try a middleman or women, we don't want to say middle women sometimes does a lot of influence, right, sisters? A woman sometimes has a more influence than the man, right? We try either a man or woman, the person that can truly have an impact on them. You have to find the key to that person. Every person has a key. We just sometimes have to find that key. I'm at your service. I do my best if I can. Sometimes the key is that person's daughter, that person's son, that person's wife, that person's mother. People have different people that they feel very influenced by, such that when they come to them, they would give them respect. I'm willing to interfere in whatever matter you like, and I'm at your service, inshallah. If Sayyid Kadhim and you want to reconcile, I'm more than happy. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Halal meat come from the Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So it says halal on it, but I'm not sure it's right or wrong.
Yeah, so this issue about, these companies you mentioned, whether it's, this company or other there are many companies that bring meat and they have the sticker that says halal.
Yeah.
When ulama are asked, our fuqaha, they're asked about this, they say just the sticker by itself doesn't mean anything. What means is your itmi'nan, your ilm, your contentment. If you know that they have truly brought it from a Muslim slaughterhouse, truly they brought it from a place that was supervised by a Muslim who was doing the slaughtering, following the Sharia way, then of course you can buy it. The problem is oftentimes we are not sure. This is where ulama tell us, then verify. Call the company, where did you get this from? They say, well, we got it from this slaughterhouse. Try to call that slaughterhouse and verify with them that a Muslim was doing and administering the slaughter of that animal, saying Bismillah and the rest of the requirements.
Because it's come from the different countries. So
They give you an email usually that you can email them. You can email them or even a phone number to call them. It's worth calling them or emailing them just to be content, so that you're not, just taking the meat and considering it halal without checking. Ahsant. Sister, go ahead. Alaykum as-salam wa
I
rahmatullahi wa
wanted to
barakatuh.
expand on Ammo's question about family and connection.
Yes.
Who exactly are we wajib to connect and ask about and try?
Yeah, Salatul Rahim, there's 3 circles for sure are part of your Rahim. Beyond that, it's based on urf. The first 3 circles are, number 1, of course, the immediate, your parents and siblings. The second are your, of course, grandparents, aunts and uncles. The third is the cousins. These for sure are your arham. There's no question about that. My cousin is my rahim. But anyone outside of that, my second cousin, my third cousin, this is based on urf. If you live, for example, in an area where Urf doesn't see that you have to connect with your third cousin. They see that not something normal. Maybe if, God forbid, someone dies in their family, you go and you pay your respect. But not something as serious as having to connect with them all the time or between time and time. They're distant. But that same third cousin, perhaps you live in an area where there's not many of you, and this person Urf sees them as really your cousin, not just your second or third cousin, then it changes the equation, and now this person is treated like a close relative. Now, the closer the relative, the more you are required to try to maintain some type of sila. But maintaining sila doesn't mean I have to call them every single day. Of course, with parents, this is different because parents have a bigger right on us, especially if they live in the same area we live. I can't say, you know what, I call my mom once every 3 weeks. That doesn't sound like it's a fair thing to do. I need to do more than that. But if my relatives are dispersed, my relatives are many, and I can't catch up with all, I can use the method of sending salam, because even sending a salam to a relative counts as sila. And depending on the situation, if my relative is sick, then Urf says, why don't you go and pay them a visit? I can't say, why don't you go pay them a visit and say I say salam. That's not acceptable, right? Because if you're able to visit them, it wouldn't make sense to send someone and say, tell them I say salam. They would find that a form of neglecting them, if you will. So really the criterion is, number one, if they are your close blood relatives, and number two, if Urf finds them as close enough of a relative beyond these 3 circles that I mentioned.
What about if, as in most of us here, we live here, and then we have aunts and uncles, cousins in Iraq or other countries?
Correct.
How, if they're living their lives and they're fine the way we are we required to try and connect?
What we try to do is maintain a level of connection. For example, when there's Eid and I'm able to reach out. For instance, you have an aunt. You don't have to call all of her children, especially if they're not mahram. You're not expected to call your male cousin, say, Assalamu alaikum, male cousin 1, male cousin 2, I want to give you Eid Mubarak. It may not be the best thing to do at that point. But when you call your aunt and say, relay and convey my salam to all of my cousins, your children, boys and girls. You call one of, for example, your uncles and you say, convey my salam to your children. And that way you have done your duty to the minimum extent. But if something happens in that person's life, they lose a loved one, God forbid your cousin loses their mom or dad or a very, near and dear person, it doesn't suffice to say, well, say salam to them. No, then you would pick up the phone and call and say, I'm sorry for your loss, and so on and so forth. So it really goes back to what Urf determines as sila and what Urf determines as lack of sila. Ahsantum. I think we are set. We only have, 25 minutes for salah. So inshallah, with that we will welcome our dua kumail reciter. Yes, let's welcome our dear and respected doctor with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
A couple of announcements, inshallah, before doctor goes and start dua kumail. Sayyid forgot to say, you don't need istikhara to donate money here at Imam Hussein Center or at Anjuman. You can donate that at any time. No istikhara needed. So inshallah, you do that. Those money are getting used for the good cause, inshallah. Whatever you can, just donate, inshallah. The other thing is we have tomorrow night, we are doing Eid Ghadir for Arabic program only tomorrow, and we have kebab. So everybody is welcome. Kebab will be outside, be served. For English one, we're going to do together with Anjuman, so Saturday will be English one there. Also on Sunday, we're going to have election here at Imam Hussein Center, and all the positions, president, vice president, councillor, treasurer, secretary, it's all open, and trustees. So anyone who's a member of Imam Hussein Center who wants to come and join, be part of this group, part of leadership, inshallah, it's open for everybody. None has been claimed so far, so it's yours to grab it if you want. So inshallah. The time at 7 o'clock on Sunday night. Sunday, inshallah. Tomorrow program here, the Arabic is going to start with the dinner with kebab outside at 6:30, inshallah. And then at 7:30, we're going to start the Arabic program inside, inshallah. Any question? Okay, we'll start with dua, inshallah.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخضع لها كل شيء وذل لها كل شيء، وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء. يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصام، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقم، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء، اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها، اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك واستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك وأن توزعني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا وفي جميع الأهوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك. اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائحي ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترته وكم من فادح من البلاء أقلته وكم من عثار وقيته وكم من مكروه دفعته وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرته. اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي وقصرت بي أعمالي وقعدت بي أغلالي وحبسني عن نفعي بعد أملي وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بجنايتها ومثالي. يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك ألا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري، ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا، وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. إلهي وربي من لي غيرك، أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي، أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي، ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي، فغرني بما أهوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء، فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعد حدودك، وخالفت بعد أوامرك، فلك الحمد علي في جميع ذلك، ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاءك، وألزمني حكمك وبلاغك. وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي، معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا، مستغفرا منيبا، مقرا مذعنا معترفا. لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني، ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في سعة رحمتك. اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ضري، وفكني من شد وثاقي. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودقة عظمي. يا من بدأ خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي، هبني لابتداء كرمك وسالف برك بي. يا إلهي وسيدي وربي، أتراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك، وبعد ما انطوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك، ولهج به لساني من ذكرك، واعتقده ضميري من حبك، وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضئا لربوبيتك. هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تضيئ من ربيت، أو تبعد من أدنيت، أو تشرد من آويت، أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمت. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي، أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدا، وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقا وبشكرك مادها، وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققة، وعلى ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة، وعلى جوارح سعت إلى أوطان تعبدك طائعة، وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنة. ما هكذا الظن بك، ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم يا رب. وأنت تعلم ضعفي قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها، وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها، على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه، قليل مكثو، يسير بغاه، قصير مدته، فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها، وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهله، لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك. وانتقامك وسخطك، وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين. يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي، لأي الأمور إليك أشكو، ولما منها أضج وأبكي، لأليم العذاب وشدته أم لطول البلاء ومدته؟ فلئن سيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك، وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك، وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك، فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي. صبرت على عذابك، فكيف أصبر على فراقك؟ وهبني صبرت على حر نارك، فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك؟ أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي عفوك؟ فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأذجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج العاملين، ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين، ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين، ولأنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين. يا غاية آمال العارفين، يا غياث المستغيثين، يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين، ويا إله العالمين. أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفتك، وضاقت عن عذابها بمعصيته، وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته، وهو يضج إليك ضجيج مؤمل لرحمتك، ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك، ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك. يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك؟ أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يأمل فضلك ورحمتك؟ أم كيف يحرقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه؟ أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفه؟ أم كيف يتغلغل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقه؟ أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رب؟ أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها؟ هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك، ولا المعروف من فضلك، ولا مشبه لما عاملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك. فباليقين أغتأ لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاحديك، وقضيت به من إخلاد معانديك، لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما، وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما. لكنك تقدست أسماؤك، أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين، وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين، وأنت جل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا، وتطولت بالإنعام متكرما. أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوي. إلهي وسيدي، فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها، أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيح أسررته وكل جهل عملته، كتمته أو أعلنته، أخفيته أو أظهرته، وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي، وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم، وبرحمتك أخفيت وبفضلك سترت، وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلت أو إحسان فضلت أو بر نشرت أو رزق بسطت أو ذنب تغفره أو خطأ تستره. يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي، يا من بيده ناصيتي، يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي، يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب. أسألك بحقك وقدسك وأعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي من الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورا وبخدمتك موصولا، وأعمالي عندك مقبولا، حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا، وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا. يا سيدي، يا من عليه معولي، يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب. قو على خدمتك جوارحي، واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي، وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك، حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين، وأسرع إليك في البارزين، واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين، وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين، وأخافك مخافة الموقنين، وأجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين. اللهم ومن أرادني بالسوء فأرد، ومن كادني فكد، واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك، وأقربهم منزلة منك، وأخصهم زلفة لديك، فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك. وجد لي بجودك، واعطف علي بمجدك، واحفظني برحمتك، واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا، وقلبي بحبك متيما، ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وأقلني عثرتي واغفر زلتي، فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وضمنت لهم الإجابة، فإليك يا ربي نسبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي، فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني مناي، ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي، واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي. يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء، فإنك فعال لما تشاء. يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غناه، ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلاحه البكاء. يا سابق النعم يا دافع النقم، يا نور المستوحشين في الظلام، يا عالما لا يعلم. صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بما أنت أهله، وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سورة مباركة فاتحة.
Yeah, inshallah, if the ladies and the gents, we can help to remove the chair so we can start salat, inshallah.